Hello everybody, welcome to this week's edition of The Verdict, when we will concentrate almost solely on the Welcome to Yorkshire Ebor Festival that took place last week. And there was some truly sensational action in front of packed crowds. Indeed, a record crowd attended the Knavesmere on Friday afternoon. We had to pick just 6 races. Time constraints meant that we could only pick that number. So I apologise if a race that you wanted to see here in The Verdict is not included. We had an embarrassment of riches to choose from. Let's get underway then with the big race on day one. It was the Juddmonte International Stakes, Group 1, over 1.25 miles. The going, officially described as good. It probably rode a bit quicker than that. Mishriff, the 9-4 favourite. Love was 11-4. Alcohol Free was 9-2. And Mishriff a 6-1 shot. And it was Mishriff who prevailed, putting up a world-class performance. Let's have a look at how this race panned out. He jumped from stall number 6. Second was Alanka, who jumped from 7. Love was third from stall 2. And Mishriff was fourth, jumping from stall 4. Now, the first thing to note about this race in the early stages, according to the award-winning course track sectionals, it was a slowly run affair early on. Until they got to the 6 furlongs out, they went quite steady. But from there on, they really wound the pace up, and it led to quite a fast finish from Mishriff and a good overall time, and indeed a fast final 3 furlongs from him. Steady away then early on as McSweeney took them along. Love just tucked in close to the pace. Alenka just towards the outside, and then there's Mishriff in those maroon colours just outside Love. Held up and a bit keen, Alcohol Free against the rail, and also keen Mishriff, who doesn't get home, and the same can be said for Alcohol Free. Once they've turned in, this race begins to wind up, and the final 3 furlongs for Mishriff was 34.16. He quickens up like a wild horse going into the third last furlong, and he maintains it all the way to the winning line. He has got a sharp turn of foot, and over this trip that is a quick final 3 furlongs. As far as the way that the race was run overall, well, it wasn't that fast. The finishing speed percentage 107.84, courtesy of that slow early gallop and then the sprint up the home straight. Here comes Mishriff. He's really getting into gear now for that quick final 3 furlongs, and he'll surge away from his rivals that include the strong travelling Mishriff in the Shadwell colours. He loomed up going well, and in the 8th furlong he was fastest. He ran 10.78, and then he flattened out and he didn't get home, and there has to be a chance that he's a miler. But look at this imperious winner, just stride clear of his rivals. He's bolted up under David Egan, and he surely is world class now after his exploits in Saudi and at Meydan as well. And he's very versatile in terms of surface. He won on the dirt in Saudi, he won on the beautiful bouncy trampoline at Meydan, and here he's handled York imperiously. Not many horses are multi-surface horses. Animal Kingdom springs to mind. He was a synthetic dirt and turf horse, and California Chrome, he was a dirt and turf horse as well. But they are a rare commodity, and this horse is an incredibly exciting racehorse. Who knows where they're going to go with him, but he's got speed and stamina alike, and that 9th furlong of 11.23 was really, really impressive, and he's absolutely bolted up here. You could say, if you wanted to pick holes in this race, that it fell apart a little bit. Alcohol Free didn't stay. Mishriff, for me, didn't stay. He flashed loads of speed and ability, but I don't think he got home. Love, perhaps just a little bit below her best. I think that's been the case with her this season, from her win at Royal Ascot to being placed in the King George and then placed here. I don't think she's quite at her imperious best. But Mishriff, wow, what a racehorse he is. And it'll be very interesting to see what John Gosden wants to do with him. So let's sum this race up. What did we actually see, and how did it unfold? Well, it was steadily run in the early stages. There's no doubt about that. That's what the sectionals tell us. But the pace picked up. They wound it up from a long way out. What did that steady pace mean early on? Well, it got Alcohol Free and Mishriff running a little bit keenly. Let's move on to the next one. Well, the fast final 3 furlongs. It really was quick for a race over this trip, 34.16. That's Mishriff's time. He was flying through those final 3 furlongs. He's got a sharp turn of foot. Now, the overall race was not run at an even gallop. It was slow, quick, basically. And the finishing speed percentage of 107.84 means the winner finished off 7.84% quicker through the final 3 furlongs than he ran the rest of the race. So it was a steady early pace, but that allowed for a strong, fast finish. This was, in terms of a time performance, the best performance of the week by some way from what is undoubtedly a world-class racehorse. I wonder where he's going to go. Could it be a clash with St Mark's Basilica? Well, it's possible, for he holds an entry in the Irish Champion Stakes. He also holds an entry in the Champion Stakes, the Kipco meeting at Ascot at the end of the year. So he could possibly meet St Mark's Basilica, but you have to say that his trainer, Sir John Gosden, afterwards was kind of mindful of saying, well, we'll keep him for an autumn campaign because there's lots and lots of targets down the line for him. Now, what about Mahafeth? Was he disappointing? As in his last 2 races, he'd not gone through with his effort, as I've heard said in places. That's rubbish. He maintains all of his ability, but I think he's probably a miler. Last time up at York, he was too far back in a steadily run affair, and he flashed real speed to nearly win that race. And here he's flashed speed again. Look at this. Furlong 8 was the fastest in the race at 10.78. But he didn't get home. He got into contention, and once again he flattened. And I think he has to be considered to be a miler. And I think he's still a top-class racehorse in the making. But we've already got a top-class racehorse, a world-class one, in Mishriff. Time now to have a look at the Darley Yorkshire Oaks over a mile and a half. A Group 1, of course, and Snowfall, the rightful favourite on the back of her 2 recent successes. The 8-15 favourite. Wonderful tonight, 3-1. Albaflora nibbled at in the market, 16s from 25s, and then Ashada 18s. And it was Snowfall who prevailed in tremendous fashion. This was a really good performance from her. She jumped out of stall number 3, and she beat Albaflora, who came from 7, La Joconde from 6, and Wonderful Tonight, who jumped from stall 2. She's in the yellow and blue colours. Look at her head to one side there. A little bit keen in the early stages, and I think she found the ground way too fast for her. She'll get nearer Snowfall if they meet in the Arc, where she encounters easier ground, one would have thought. It'd be very debatable whether she could beat a Snowfall, though. Now, unlike the Juddmonte International that was steadily run early on, this was an even gallop. La Joconde taking them along in front. A finishing speed percentage of 103.26 tells us that it was pretty even. The race produced a pretty good final time of 2 minutes 26.61. So it really was not much hanging about. And if we just stop it there, where are the principals? Well, they're right in here. Here's the winner, Snowfall towards the outside, and there's Albaflora last. And they finished 1-2. They've passed the whole field to get to those positions. So La Joconde is not hanging around. And therefore it is testament to what Snowfall was able to achieve later in the race. She managed to make up her ground without coming off the bridle and fire 2 very quick furlongs in the home straight. She's a very fast filly. There is no doubt about that. Did she prove anything by doing that in this particular race? Did we learn anything more about her? Because she's been absolutely brilliant so far in her career. Well, I don't think we learned anything in terms of form whatsoever, but we learned one important factor. She handles really fast ground. The first time she's really been able to do this, what she does here, on good to firm ground, and she handled it fine. And we know she handles soft from her win in the Oaks at Epsom. So she's incredibly versatile. Now she begins to make her ground towards the outside. She's closing in on Wonderful Tonight in the yellow and blue colours. And her 9th furlong, 10.47. That surges her to the front. This is a really, really impressive burst of speed. Furlong 10 was 11.17 as well. That just takes her clear of all of her rivals. Nothing can go with her. Albaflora's trying to, the grey. She's running a great race, but she's merely picking up pieces. Snowfall begins to slow in the final furlong, possibly idling a little bit as well. She's been out front for a long time. And perhaps she took Ryan Moore a little bit by surprise with the way she quickened up in the closing stages. That was hugely impressive. And this angle shows you all you need to know. Look at the way she goes past horses without coming off the bridle. And then when Ryan asks her to go, well, she surges clear. And it's a very impressive performance from her. She's 5-2, there or thereabouts, for the Arc de Triomphe, and she deserves to be that. And she'll surely be very hard to beat in that. This wasn't a particularly deep field, but nonetheless, what more could she possibly have done than surge clear of them? And if she'd sat maybe a tad closer to the pace and quickened up, she might have won by even further. I think she took Ryan by surprise a little bit. She's very fast. She's got a sharp turn of foot, just like Mishriff. Let's sum this up then. Let's have a look at what we saw out there. What can we say about it? Well, it was an evenly run race. Good final time, 2:26.61. And the finishing speed percentage, not bad. She finished off just over 3% quicker than the rest of the race. She's got a tremendous turn of foot. She really can pick up in grand style, as those 2 furlongs that I highlighted show you. 10.46 furlong 9, 11.17 furlong 10. That just killed the rest of them. So what's she achieving in terms of form? Well, she's just a brilliant Group 1 filly. It's the 3rd Group 1 win on the bounce. She didn't have to improve. I don't think she did improve in pure form terms or ratings terms, but she was very impressive. What did we learn? One thing, one important thing. She's now versatile as regards ground conditions. It doesn't matter what the conditions are up in Longchamp in October or wherever she goes. She can handle any type of ground. Poor old Wonderful Tonight. She was too keen and she just didn't handle conditions whatsoever. Just give her a pass on this. Give her a bye. There'll be more to come from her when she gets some cut in the ground. And Arc de Triomphe. Do you fancy her for the Arc? If you do, 5-2 is your price. I think that's about right. And she could go off even shorter because she'll go to the Arc with the filly's allowance, of course. So 5-2 favourite at the moment. She was brilliant. She proved she handles fast ground now. She's going to be mighty hard to beat in France. Time now to have a look at the Lonsdale Cup, the Group 2 that Stradivarius was trying to win. Yet again, he was looking for his 3rd win in this race. It was over 2 miles and he was the 6-4 on favourite. Spanish Mission was 15-8. Stratum for Willie Mullins was 11-1. And the Grand Vizier was 28-1. Could he do it? What sort of Stradivarius would turn up? Well, it was a Stradivarius full of grit and determination. He jumped out of stall number 1 and he beat Spanish Mission, who came out of 5. The Grand Vizier from 2 and Stratum from 4. This was a masterclass from Frankie Dettori. The Grand Vizier went to take them along, but for the purposes of analysis we should completely ignore his role in the race really and consider this race in terms of Stradivarius dictating the gallop. The Grand Vizier was completely outclassed and had little chance, although he did run 3rd and beat Stratum, but ostensibly Frankie is making the running with Spanish Mission and Stratum in behind him. Spanish Mission sat last, just a little bit keen, and that tells us something. That tells us that they're not going fast at all. They're going really steady. They're ignoring the pacemaker, and what Frankie is doing is controlling the pace to his own ends out in front. The course track sectionals show that they just about crawled for half a mile. They did not go hard at all, and the finishing speed percentage, well, it backs that up as well. Put that in for you, 114.99%. Wow, so they finished off 14.99% quicker through the last 3 furlongs than they ran the rest of the race. So this is not a proper staying test. This is a bit of a crawl and a sprint really. Spanish Mission's run really well in 2nd place, but he had to use up a bit of speed to get to Stradivarius, and Frankie had the tactical edge. He could do what he wanted from this position. And note, the one thing he didn't want to do, was brilliantly highlighted by Ruby Walsh on the day, was that he didn't want to go and chase the Grand Vizier, go and make Stradivarius do too much and go and sit on the girth of the Grand Vizier, go a bit too quick and just have a target on his back for Spanish Mission. Frankie wanted to do what he wanted to do, and at this stage of the race he is totally and utterly in control. The Grand Vizier just picking it up now. Frankie likewise just gradually upping the pace according to the course track sectionals. He's got a length and a half on Straton, and he's got about 3 lengths on Spanish Mission, and that probably proves important in the finish, because if you think we're going to talk in the home straight about a sprint finish, and Spanish Mission's got to sprint from a positional disadvantage to get to Stradivarius, and I think that's an important factor when analysing this race. Frankie just having a little look round there. He wants to know where William Buick is on Spanish Mission. I'm sure William's happy. Probably was always the plan to track Stradivarius and try and quicken up past him. In the end though, Frankie, there, he's looking around there, Frankie. He knows what he's doing. He's just going to start winding it up. We've passed the 4 pole and we're going to get to the 3 furlong pole. And when you do so, you can clock his final 3 furlongs at 33.64. So now he's sprinting. Now look at Spanish Mission. He's had to really work to get to Stradivarius. Now Frankie goes, and Spanish Mission's already used up a bit of petrol just to get to Frankie. He probably edges ahead by a short head or a nose, but Stradivarius is having nothing of it. And firing that 33.64 final 3 furlongs, he just grits it out and sees off Spanish Mission in the last 50 yards or so, both pulling miles clear of the Grand Vizier. A tactical race. Spanish Mission's run a blinder given that he had to sprint to get to Stradivarius and then go past, and then he's just got out determined close home and probably was just getting tired because of that effort to get to the Strad. So what do we say about the Lonsdale? Well, he's done it again, Stradivarius. He's still got all the old grit and determination, and he's won a steadily run race where the pace picked up 4 furlongs out. What else can we say about this? It turned into a sprint. Final 3 furlongs for a 2-mile staying event, 33.64. They flew through the final 3 furlongs. Masterclass from Dettori, no doubt about it. Well, he probably wasn't at his imperious best, but he hasn't lost any of his old grit and determination, Stradivarius, and he's going to remain hard to beat when he goes down to Ascot on Kipco Champions Day. He's still probably going to be the one to beat. It's pretty hard to judge from this race alone whether he retains all of his old ability, just because of the way the race was run. But we do know that he's still got a fair bit of it. There's no doubt about that. Well, this guy's still got it anyway. If Stradivarius isn't still at his best, there's no doubt Frankie Dettori is. It was a very clever ride from him. What about Spanish Mission? He's a 5-year-old. He's an up-and-coming stayer that Stradivarius has beaten, and the sectionals show that he had to work to get to the winner and then just had nothing left for the fight in the final 100 yards. The tactical genius of Frankie Dettori has seen off Spanish Mission for yet another Lonsdale for the Strad. Let's turn our attentions to the Albasti Equiworld Dubai Gimcrack. 6 furlongs, Berkshire Shadow, the 3-1 favourite, Lusail 7-2, and Fearby was 5-1. And I think this race has thrown up just about the best 2-year-old that we've seen in the UK this season. Stall 7 is where you're looking, and the horse is Lusail. Let's send him on the way. Why is this horse good? Well, a few reasons really. He's won 4 of his 5 career starts now. He won the Group 2 Tattersalls July Stakes last time up, and therefore carried a penalty here, so is giving weight to his rivals. He gives weight and a beating, and he has got a really good turn of foot. Plus he's versatile because he's already in his career won over 7 furlongs. But back here to a quick 6, he's able to beat some very quick horses around him. Giza Sub, who jumped from 4, Twilight Jet from 1, and Fearby, who jumped from 8, finished back in 4th place. How do we know that he is a quick horse? Well, we know it from furlong 6, and in furlong 6 he did this. He ran 11.16, just about to get to the 6th furlong now. He's chasing Giza Sub, who's got the sheepskin noseband, and he fires that quick furlong to surge his way into the front and win in a final time of 110.13. That is a really quick surge of pace from this horse. It was an evenly run affair, 102.35% finishing speed percentage, and it's arguable that he even won with a little bit up his sleeve. Such was that bright turn of foot that took him to the front. He didn't have to work hard, in the closing stages. Giza Subs run an absolute blinder in second. Fearby got some trouble in running and perhaps can be marked up just a little bit. Was a bit keen, stepped up to 6 furlongs, but still ran really well. But this Lusail by Maymas, I think he's the real deal. Pat Dobbs gets on very well with him, and he holds 7 entries going forward, all the big 2-year-old races that you'd imagine. That includes a couple of Group 1s, the Middle Park and the Dewhurst as well, and that ultimately where Richard Hannon, his trainer, might send him. High cruising speed, sharp turn of foot was what we saw in the Gimcrack, and I think it's the best 2-year-old performance of the year so far. Here we've seen some good 2-year-old in Ireland, but here I think he's just about the best we've seen so far. Reminder that he had a Group 2 penalty and he was giving weight away to his rivals, so it just marks up his performance there on the Knavesmire. As stated, it was an evenly run affair. The finishing speed percentage, always good to have a look at, 102.35%. He did quicken up in good fashion. He travelled strongly. Pat Dobbs got some cover, and when he asked him to go, that's what he flashed, 11.16, and in context, that's miles quicker than anything that his other rivals achieved. Go to the Racing TV website, go to the results, have a look at the sectionals, and look at that particular furlong, the second last furlong, and see how much quicker he was than his rivals. Now it's Group 1s, surely Group 1s for him. He's got 7 entries. Middle Park, Dewhurst. Richard Hannon, his trainer, afterwards was talking about the Dewhurst, and ultimately he really was thinking about the 2,000 guineas. And he's already a 7 furlong winner, so the Dewhurst seems a likely target. The pause that refreshes, and then back for the Dewhurst on the Rowley Mile in the autumn for this horse, who's sure to be a live contender for the 2,000 guineas next year. The feature event on Friday was the Coolmore Wootton Bassett Nunthorpe Stakes Group 1, of course, over 5 furlongs, and Swayzer was the subject of some really good support despite her high draw in stall 14 and problems and worries about the fast ground. 9-4, Golden Pal 5-2, 4-1 Dragon Symbol, and Winter Power, who's the winner. She was a 9-1 shot. She jumped from stall number 6, and she was lightning fast throughout this race. The fast 5 furlongs on the Knavesmire really suiting her. She flew out of the gates. She was very quickly away, and she fired along with Golden Pal, who's on the far side, and at Liberty Beach as well, between horses. She was really, really quick. And I think an important point to make here, if I just stop it here very quickly, she has established quite an advantage over her rivals. Look, she's 4-5 lengths clear of her rivals. All week at York, horses were not coming back. Hold-up horses were really struggling. And she doesn't come back, and she's just got too much rope. They're not going to catch her. It's Emiratiana in the yellow colours who gives chase and finishes second. Dragon Symbol, far side, yellow colours with the white face back in third. And Swayzer trying to challenge down this side. Here she is. She's had absolutely no chance the way the race panned out. She was marooned on a part of the track you didn't really want to be. You wanted to be in the middle all week, middle to far side. And she's got no chance the way the race panned out. Speed just carried in this race. She kept going, Winter Power. Golden Pal, well, cheap speed from him early, and he weakened quite markedly in the closing stages. Final time was 56.72 for Winter Power, a pretty good time. And I just want to highlight that chasing group, if you like, Dragon Symbol, Emiratiana, etc. They were 3 or 4 lengths behind Winter Power, and in the third furlong, if you check all the sectionals out on the Racing TV website, for example, Dragon Symbol went 10 seconds flat for that furlong in pursuit of Winter Power, but she was gone. She'd established 3 or 4 lengths on them by then. And an interesting point I want to make about Swayzer was that she fired the fastest last 3 furlongs of 32.37. The winner, 33.56, but Swayzer was too far back, on the wrong part of the track and on fast ground, and she probably wants a bit more ease in the ground. So early pace was vital here. The sectionals show that Winter Power was as quick as Golden Pal, interestingly, in the first 2 furlongs, and she established an early advantage over the field, and she didn't stop. They couldn't get back. They couldn't catch her. Let's have a look and see what we think about to this Dragon Symbol. Well, the third furlong was the fastest of the race for any of the horses, e.g. Dragon Symbol, a 10-second flat furlong. They were going in pursuit of the winner. They were trying to get on Winter Power's tail, but they couldn't. She just established too much of a lead. I like Swayzer for the Prix de l'Abbé. She fired the fastest final 3 furlongs on the unfavoured part of the track, on ground that's probably too quick for her, 32.37. She was quickest through the final 3 furlongs, with a good draw in the Abbey and cut in the ground. She's hard to beat. Returning to the winner, Winter Power. Fast 5 furlongs at York are exactly what she wants. She's got brazen speed. If she was to go to Longchamp and take on Swayzer with a bit of cut in the ground, she wouldn't be certain to confirm the form. And finally, it's worth mentioning that on the straight course, particularly over 6 furlongs during the meeting, that low draws were somewhat favoured, and the first 3 home here were drawn 6, 9 and 2. And remember Swayzer, she came from 14. Put her in your Racing TV tracker so you don't forget about Swayzer for the Prix de l'Abbé de Longchamp. Don't forget about Winter Power though. When she comes back to York to try and make it back-to-back Nunthorpes, she's got a real crack at doing that. Saturday brought us the Strensall Stakes, Group 3, over 1 mile and 177 yards. And the favourite was Real World at even money. My Oberon was 4 to 1, Brunch 8 to 1 and 10 to 1. And bigger the rest. I think this race has thrown up a very interesting horse going forward for Saeed bin Saroy. It was Real World from 7 in the Godolphin Blue, who won under Marco Gianni, beating Lord Glitters from 1 and Duke of Hazard from 4, was back in 3rd place. Here they go. Let's see what happened in this race. Okay, he's towards the outside, Real World. In the past, he's shown a propensity to be a little bit keen. But here, he settled beautifully for Marco Gianni. He's beginning to learn with racing, this fella. Why was he even money favourite? Was the first thing I asked when we watched this race. But I looked back at his Royal Ascot success at the Royal Hunt Cup. Sensational. The turn of foot he showed there was brilliant. Then he won at Newbury, and he was featured here on the verdict because at Newbury he got stuck in a pocket and Gianni eventually extracted him, angled to the outside, and this horse quickened like a Mustang and flew past his rivals to win going away. He has got a bright turn of foot, and here no such trouble in running, and in a steadily run affair Gianni sits in second, getting a nice toe through the race. We know it was steadily run because the finishing speed percentage was 107.99, so 7.99 quicker through the last 3 furlongs than the rest of the race. And what he did to win this race was fire a quick final 3 furlongs. And what he did was 33.97. Have a look around at all the other jockeys. They're all hard at work. Gianni hasn't gone for much yet. And what this horse did at Newbury was that he was extracted from a pocket and he didn't look like he was going to pick up. Then Gianni really got at him and he flew. And it was the same here. Once Gianni gets hold of him, he goes and he fires that really quick final 3 furlongs. And he recorded a good enough time, 1:47.66, nothing particularly flash, but that's courtesy of that steady early gallop. Look at the grey horse. It's old Lord Glitters. Yes, he's still around, and I'll tell you what, according to the sectionals, he's still got it as well. This race wasn't run to suit. He can do with an end-to-end gallop, but he was the fastest through the final 3 furlongs of 33.74. The winner 33.97. But Lord Glitters was at a positional and a pace disadvantage, and he couldn't close down Real World, who quickened up in fantastic fashion. Gianni celebrating like he'd won the Strensall Stakes, and indeed he had, on a really progressive horse who will surely step up to Group 1 company after that. Let's sum this race up then. What did we see out there at York on Saturday afternoon? Well, we saw that the winner, Real World, is very useful and he's ready for a Group 1. I like this comparison really. He's got a similar profile to Ben Battle. Ben Battle, also trained by Saeed bin Sarour. Ben Battle, also a horse that likes fast ground. Ben Battle, also a horse that's best at 9 or 10 furlongs, and therefore he might tread a similar path to Ben Battle, which could possibly lead him to Meydan. Where do we think this horse is going to go? Well, he's entered in the Champion Stakes and the QE2 as well. The problem with those two races for him possibly will be ground, because when we get to that time of year, it might be pretty soft. So therefore, perhaps we look down the Ben Battle route. He could be a likely candidate for the Dubai Duty Free at Meydan on World Cup night. Maybe one run and then a run on Super Saturday as a warm-up for the Dubai Duty Free on the beautiful turf at Meydan on decent ground. That will really suit him. He'd be a force to be reckoned with there, I'm sure of that. He's got loads of speed. He needed it in a steadily run affair. 107.99% was the finishing speed. So they've gone up quite steady early on and then quickened up in the home straight, and he quickened up best by a mile. This fella's still got it, you know, Lord Glitters. He wasn't suited by the pace of the race, but showed that he's still a force at this level, and one would imagine we'll see him in Kipco British Champions Day, QE2 or the Champion Stakes, possibly the QE2 over the straight mile where he's run so well before, and when he gets a bit of dig in the ground which slows them down in front and allows him to come with his late surge. Finally, make a comparison here, a Ben Battle comparison again. Remember the horse. What was the horse that launched Oisin Murphy's career? It was Ben Battle, when Ben Battle won the Hampton Court Stakes at Royal Ascot. It launched Murphy onto the scene. And this horse, like Ben Battle did for Murphy, could do it for Marco Ghiani. He's got what all young jockeys need. One good horse to give him a profile. Thanks for watching The Verdict. Bye-bye for now.